Bit of BBC News.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Potty Mouth. Yes, we are back again for another exciting show, all garden-related goodness today. Yes, we have our esteemed guests. One's running slightly late there, the owl boy, but we're here. Don't forget, questions. If you want a question answered, this is, it's always nice. We're kind of trying to get as many as we can. Put a capital Q in your question beforehand, and then it shows up. And I will actually do that now in the search. Well, straight away, YouTube question, Tony. Why are the skins of my tomatoes thick? Probably not ripe, I would have thought. Stu there. I'll keep that one because we'll get that. We'll come back to it just in case I'm wrong. But welcome to the show. I'm glad everyone's here on the new channel as well. I will just see if my esteemed guest there. Look at it, as if nothing's happened, Stephen. As if you weren't like 3 seconds before the launch. You know what I mean? So, but nice to have you all there. Something's happened to my watch, and it keeps on now like making all the alarm noises and everything. So let's kick off with the intro, and we'll get into the show. There you go. So thank you everybody very much for coming on. Look, when I kind of see that intro, it does make us, although we're kind of live and sometimes live gets a bit scary, it's a lovely thing just to talk about gardening and just kind of leave the things alone, kind of the real world alone. So don't forget, pop over to our Discord. We are there, not every minute of the day, but we kind of certainly pop in there and from time to time and say hello. And obviously you're watching this on this channel. There you go. That is our new channel. Please pop over there. Now, I keep on forgetting to mention this as well, but we have, if you ever want to listen just to the audio version of that, just go and search on the a podcaster app of your choice. We are there, Potty Mouth Garden Club. So you can listen to this just as audio as well, which is kind of fun. Or if you're in the Patreon club, my little Patreon club, you get that as well as an audio podcast. And it's quite nice because I listen to kind of podcasts all the time, and it's just nice to it's just like a comfort. And I'm hoping we're all comfort for yous there. Stephen, nice
Hello.
to have you. How are you doing, sir? Are you good? Are you well?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Is
Full
the allotment
is
the allotment good and well?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's it's an allotment, isn't it? It goes up, it goes down. You go up, you go down. Had a few issues this year. I've been chasing my tail all year, as a recent video shown. I've been a little bit behind, but learnt a lesson from it. And I froze.
Froze again, yes. Well, I'm sure you'll get back to get that sorted out there.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
JB, nice to have you on, sir, again. How are you? Is everything good?
Much.
I've just watched this morning, or it just must have been very early this morning, your latest video. And actually, JB, if anybody kind of struggles with gardening, I think that's a great video to go and watch where...
Thank you.
There's not much going right, I'll be honest. There's not much going right, but
yeah.
I think you you had your bad spell. You had a little chat with Steve who'll give you a little pep talk, and you went back up.
Yeah.
And it was a totally different JB, and it was almost like on the bright side of things. Well, sure, I haven't got, this, I haven't got that, but I just thought it was a really uplifting video. So, well done there, sir. Well done there. But even though they're gone, I don't think you're actually going to bring anything home this year. It's still a little bit upbeat this year because this show, because last one, that video was just... You're a little bit down.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
No, I really enjoyed it.
There's still definitely enough trickling into the kitchen as well to kind of keep me upbeat. I got a few.
Well, it was when you kind of moved into the greenhouse, and even your peppers. And I was thinking, bugger man, that's his one thing that is like it's his holy grail is his peppers. Yes, now they're bloody, you know what I mean? And JB, to be honest, I think I hit lucky that first few months, the first month or so. But I'm just there now with you all. Do you know what I mean? It's just like I've just planted my sprouting broccoli. It's just been decimated by the caterpillars there. It's just all my chili peppers. My next video, I'm just pulling them all up. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of finished. I've got some chilies, but that's it. I'm finished. Do you know what I mean? They're just, and I'm thinking, I'm there now with you. I know Steve's had a kind of, not a bad spell, just catching up with himself, and there's things getting missed. And that. It's just, that's gardening. Do you know what I mean? But I thought, honestly, I'd like to say, I watched that video. Now, it was uplifting for me to see you. Because you almost in sometimes we're going a bit manic, you know what I mean? And then coming back and it was.
Can get a lot, can't it? When it's one thing after another.
Especially when it's, like you say, if you miss a window, I always think that if you miss a seed window or something goes wrong, that's it. Do you know what I mean? So, like you say, the sprouting broccoli of mine, if it doesn't, I haven't got any next year. Do you know what I mean? And it's down to the co-op to buy it at a ridiculous price. You know what I mean? So, someone who never flusters. Never gets flustered. Audrey, the Queen Plants woman. How you doing? Are you a good girl?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Lovely. Has everything been all right in your gardening world this week since last time?
Yes, actually, I got most of my second spring stuff in. Just need to add some chicories and some other.
Is this the sowings that you actually brought inside?
Yes.
Right.
So I got my second load of cabbage and cauliflower and all kinds of that out. And I've got lots of beans starting again. So, yeah. I even put in more squash just last week. So
right. All right.
We'll see how that goes. I put those directly in.
Well, it's funny. One sort of set of my beans, the climbing beans, I think I've just left them on the vine or on the bean too long. You know when they get that little stringy taste, like that stringy texture. Yes. And tonight we've just had we've been having beans. Your beans, or them dwarf ones, are just phenomenal. There's been that many, which has kind of put us on a back foot for the climbing ones. So we're getting to them climbing ones now. And I just tasted today, tonight. You know when you kind of do a test to see if it's, I still want that kind of al dente bite. And I went, I can just feel the fibre a little bit. So I just steamed it to hell and back, to be honest. And it was all right after that. It kind of melted in the mouth. But I was like, I've just missed the sweet spot for picking, and it just went a little bit over. You know what I mean? But
now, what kind of beans are those?
Some sort of climbing bean, Audrey. Yes, I do label, but I kind of.
I'll give you a tip, Tony. If you hold the bean up against your thumb with the crease in the bean up against your thumb and grab the top and snap it back, you'll peel that stringiness out. Do it from both ends.
Oh, man. Do you know what I mean? There you go. Well, that's what it just had. And I thought, but I'm going to try, because there's bags of them. Do you know what I mean? So
you won't get it all out, but you'll get the fair majority. It'll make the whole eating thing much, much better.
Right. Oh, that's brilliant, because I love beans. I know it sounds, kind of plenty of butter, which I don't suppose you should do, but I still love lots of butter, black pepper.
It's in balance. Just have lots of butter with your beans, and then have less fat with something else. Mm-hmm. Fat is flavour, and that's something that's well known. But if you have fat with everything, you will be like me, fat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey.
Well, exactly. So you've just got a limit where you have these. Somebody's
been having a butter on everything. I think. Right then, I've got a few. Don't forget your questions. Put your questions in capital Q. But Steve, I just wanted to mention. Now, I watched Dan, Allotment Diary Dan, and he's had an amazing harvest as well with his banana shallots. I don't know if you've seen it, Steve, but
no,
I'm using the Zabroon ones, and mine look, Steve, healthy as anything. Do you know what I mean? Like really good, thick stalks. But I pulled two just so, because they were in the way of me carrots. I've got some carrots, and I thought I'll pull them, and they just look like almost gone to seed spring onion. Now, I wish I'd had a photograph, but I haven't been, you know what I mean? I've been kind of away from it for a couple of days. I was thinking, I thought it would start to bulb up straight away, and So I'm not sure. They just look like fat spring onions still, like healthy as anything, but there's no bulb shape going to them. Have I
Right.
missed the window, do you think? Or will it eventually
Well, I mean,
bulb up?
you could leave some in. I mean, what's the size like at the moment? How
I mean,
big
say
is the
that,
bulb? No, I mean the bulb.
well,
It's
there's
not
no
that
bulb.
big.
There's no bulb. It's just like a white, probably about, they're a good half-inch thick. No, sorry, probably an inch and a half inch thick, an inch and a half
Right.
thick. And then about
Okay.
3 or 4 inches white stem.
Right. So you have got something there. I mean, it's worth hanging on. I don't know. I mean, I would leave some, but pick them as you're using them, so that you, if they go over and they go rotten or something, you know, you have had some of them. But yeah, chance your arm, leave them in for a couple of weeks.
I will. Because, I mean, there's odd ones, which are like the thinner ones of them, look like Zabroon banana shallots. You know, the ones that I looked at first and thought, oh, they're the poor cousins of the bed. But they're the ones actually have bulbed up, and it's the ones that I thought looked really healthy. Haven't bulbed up. I'll try and get a photograph for next time.
I must contact Allotment Dan then, because there's a question I need to ask him, because I have a theory about these shallots this year, and I'm just wondering, and I've already acted on it right, if I'm right. But I'll
it's funny
get back
because
to you on that.
he did get in touch, because I wanted to try and get him on the show, to be honest, one night. And he did get in touch, but I haven't heard from him since. And he'd said was it from Premier Seeds, or it was the Zabroon ones, just totally didn't work last year. You got like a crappy harvest, and it was just like, he switched varieties. And then this year, I see he's had a good one. And like I say, you've had a kind of belting year with your onions. You know what I mean? No getting away
but he
from
went
that.
Did he go to Premier Seeds this year?
I'm not sure.
Right, that's the question I need to ask him, because I have a feeling somebody mentioned something about this, that when they hybridize these onions to make these Zabroon shallots, that sometimes you get a mother and a father to make them. If the mother, let's say, is a little bit bigger, if the onion is a little bit bigger or has got more of her gene in that Zabroon shallot, it can make them swell a bit differently. See, a lot of my Zabroon shallots this year look more onion-like than shallot-like, if you like. They still taste the same, but they've swollen more like onions. And on that basis, I've just bought a load of seeds from Premier Seeds, and keep that strain going. And if it works out, then I can keep my own seeds in years to come, because I actually quite like it this size. You get so much more shallot for your money.
And you said as well, they're a shallot's a sweeter. Is that right? Like a sweeter flavour?
Slightly sweeter, more of a mild flavour.
Right.
The white onions are harsher. The red onions are much, much sweeter. So, you know, we were talking about that last week for making sauces and things, weren't we? How you use your different onions.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, there we go. Now, JB, I want to get on to your, like I say, we've been talking about your video, and I think you kind of taught yourself what was the problem there, but your potatoes, and actually you picked up a great point, which is I do this all the time. You were waiting to harvest your potatoes because of a YouTube video, which I've honestly, hands up, it's an annoying habit, which I do quite often, to be honest. But I was just wondering, I thought, had you not, and actually something noise was going on when you crucial little bit when you were explaining what you'd done wrong. Had you not just dug them in too shallow, them potatoes? Because
it was that too. Basically, it was a combination. So I kind of experimented with just, instead of doing a whole trench for that second lot of main crop potatoes that I did, I just dug holes, basically. So an individual hole for each seed potato, just to kind of see what it'd do. They weren't particularly deep. It definitely wasn't as deep a hole as I would normally do for a trench, which I think is between kind of 1 and 2 feet. And yeah, because of that, I've since that video, I dug them up yesterday actually, and sure enough, it wasn't the best harvest. They did a bit better than I expected actually, though. There was probably like 60% of the harvest compared to the previous rows, which were really, really good. But that kind of just direct planting the potatoes didn't really suit my soil. They hadn't done much kind of penetrating lower down. and lots of them had kind of come to the surface. And I think that would have been fine if I had just kind of earthed them up, but I'm pretty lazy when it comes to earthing up.
I know. Well, it's funny, like, I think Steve mentioned it. He kind of maybe wobbling a little bit with the buckets. And I think next year I'm not going to use buckets. I'm just going to try putting them in, digging in the same place, but just digging trenches. Because, you know, I was telling Steve that I do dig a deep trench, and that's why I stopped doing it. But this year, it just even, you know, I've tried to water as much as I can. And this year's been kind of unreal for trying to keep things damp and, you know, moist and everything like that. But just not, you know what I mean, not a harvested kind of, you know, I'm pulling out of my maybe 6 or 7 little potatoes from a tub. Do you know what I mean? So that's like 2-3 tatties on a plant each. And it's like, I'm going to just try something different. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what you feel, Steve. Are you kind of in that boat now, or?
Yeah, I've been a bit disappointed. Last year I was heavily disappointed. This year has been a little bit better. I mean, I have actually got a couple of photos on my phone. I was going to put on our little secret squirrel chat the other day, and it showed me that I had a tray of potatoes that I got from 4 buckets, which was pitiful, absolutely awful. And then I added a 5th bucket to double the amount that was in there. That was the difference. This 5th bucket was like, it was, you know, a handful of soil in there and all potatoes. It was just tremendous. But and there's a couple of other things as well. There's the cost of the compost, and the kicker for me really is I don't think that every time the flavour is there. Now, I don't think it's something I'm doing wrong. I just think that some varieties are better suited to it. Like, we know the Sarpo mirror works well. We've seen that on other people's videos, and we've done it ourselves. Sarpos are always go ballistic in buckets, but I don't feel that all varieties work very well. So, like you, I'm still toying with the idea of next year growing some in the ground. But we'll see. We'll see where we get to next year.
Well, I was thinking of going like the kind of straw way as well, but I'm now thinking, well, I've got to buy in straw, get in straw, and then it's just like constantly put it on top. So I'm not going to be kind of, you know, I might just kind of earth up, you know what I mean? Audrey, do you have any of these troubles? Are you a tub girl, or do you kind of in the soil? That didn't come out right.
I do grow potatoes in tubs, yes, because I just don't want to dig in the dirt. Like, you know, it's easier to dump out a bucket. But this next year, I'm thinking I might do some Ruth Stout experiments with potatoes. But I feel the same way, Tony. Like, I have to bring in straw. I have to figure out where I'm going to keep it. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with it when I'm done with it. So I'm considering it, but I'm not sure.
Am I right in thinking as well, or do your buckets, though, you've got like drip feed on them as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I just think I've struggled this year with, I mean, they're bone dry, but, you know, before the kind of heat wave, I was like constantly.
They're definitely getting water. Yeah. So I'm hoping there's something there. Maybe next weekend, beginning of September, I think I can peak.
Well, I've probably got about, I don't know, maybe 10 buckets left, and there'll be a couple of carrier bags, I think, if that. You know, I had this kind of great idea for a video, and I daresn't do it because the potatoes are so small. Do you know what I mean? I'd be kind of laughed at. Do you know what I mean? So, right, let's just see. Sorry, Audrey, what were you?
I was going to say that might be good conversation for this show.
Yeah.
And you always have to press publish as well. You don't have to show.
Yes. Well, it was just a good idea for a video, but then I needed like a decent potato to do this video, or a decent set of potatoes to do this video. Do you know what I mean? So I was thinking, but if they're small, then it would look a bit silly. Do you know what I mean? I'll tell you after my idea. Do you know what I mean? Because it's still a good idea if I get a good crop one year. Do you know what I mean?
Mum's the word, eh?
Yes, mum's the word. Right, let's see. We've got Jerry Ellis. Tony, enjoying your retirement? Yes, I retired. Yes, I'll just let you know that. Yes, I am now officially retired. Jerry, thank you very much indeed. it's hopefully easy street now. You know what I mean? That kind of, but no more night shifts, no more early shifts. That's just a kind of godsend, to be honest. So, right, Sarah's asking, my leeks are starting to get rusty already. Is there anything I can do to save them? Audrey, you don't get rust. Am I right in thinking you've never seen what rust looks like?
Oh, I've seen it because I watch your channel, Tony.
Oh, you see? Audrey, I was caught hook, line, and sinker with that one.
Well, you did kind of walk right into that. I have never experienced rust here. No.
Well, I tell you, Audrey, what I've actually got as well, mind you, I've only got about, say, 15 leeks in. 3 of them have went to seed already. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, how are you, man? They're only like baby ones, but they've gone to seed. You know what I mean? So, Stephen, what would leeks getting rust already? Is that a bit of a problem or not?
I'm not sure I've got rust on them already, but I've definitely got seed heads on the very early planted leeks. I've definitely got seed heads. The rust, to be honest with you, I don't really know that much about it. If I get it, I scrap them. If I don't, I don't. I've normally got plenty of onions. It's not something I worry too much about. But, you know, if you get it, you have got to take it off your plot when you harvest them. Don't leave it behind on your plot.
But leeks are like a kind of a wintry, you know, veg.
Lovely.
And if you're getting rust there now, to take them off, can we not maybe drag it out a little bit longer, or is it best just to get rid of it straight away?
I suppose it depends how heavy you've got it. I mean, I think I get rust on my leeks every year, but I get it very, very mild. I don't. Yeah. I've seen some really, really bad cases of it, but I'll be honest. As long as it's not affecting the crop as such, you know, I don't worry about these things. I don't worry about pests. I only worry about things when they become more of an infestation than a little bit of a problem.
I mean, we kind of mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. I brought it up there, Charlie Dowden's garlic. You know what I mean? And that's kind of swayed me to go soft neck this next year, because his hard necks were covered in rust. Mine is, they don't develop into a bulb. So, but leeks, I mean, it's a bit gut wrenching when you want your leeks to go through the kind of winter and then be there for like the hearty stews, and they're kind of dropping now. And did you say, Steve, that some of them leeks have got seed heads on now? So is that they're buggered as well then, are they?
Well, not really. It depends how you cut them up and eat them. I mean, when I come to harvest them, if they've got a central core, I will cut the leek in half, you know, sort of straight down, and just peel that out, and I'll cut the rest up and eat it.
All right. Hey, waste not one, are they? So
exactly.
It's what you did in the war, them tires, didn't it?
It is. I remember it well.
Jamie, do you have any problems with rust?
Well, I was going to ask if you're planting autumn or winter leeks, because I've always planted winter leeks, and they kind of go in around now after I take out my potatoes, and they go in really small. It's quite late, but they always do all right, and I get away without much rust. It kind of starts to arrive normally like March, you know, like so the spring after they were planted, sort of thing. And touch wood, so far I've not had any major rust issues.
Well, what about with the leeks then? Do you ever get the white rot on the leeks?
No, it doesn't affect leeks as far as I know. There's something about the kind of pathology of white rot where it only attacks certain members of the onion family.
Oh, right. This is not just, it doesn't attack leeks on your plot. It's like leeks in general.
No, I think leeks are... I think so anyway. I don't want to put any misinformation out, but that's why elephant garlic does really well against white rot, because it's more closely related to leeks than it is garlic. So yeah, that's a little way around if you do want to have some garlic.
Right,
but it's very mild, elephant garlic. Not quite the same.
No, right, well done there. I just, someone asked last week, now, have I got it somewhere? Oh, I think it's on my page there, about what cucumber, and then somebody kindly looked up for it there, and I'll just put it on the screen there. Oh, that's not the screen I've shown.
Interesting cucumber.
Yeah, that's...
very interesting.
Why is that? Oh, that's a picture of a tomato. Oh, that's for something.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I was wondering what it was.
I was wondering what that was.
Oh, I tell you what. Well, I can't even get rid of it. How do I get rid of that? Anyways, it was Carmen F1 cucumber. How am I getting rid of
Right.
that? That's for the next picture. Anyway, I don't know how that's getting. Oh, I don't say it's going to be still. Well, I tell you what, we'll stick to it, and I'll see if I can kind of. We'll jump to this kind of thing. This is what I was talking about, Audrey.
Yes.
Are some seed companies color grading their vegetables too much? So you mentioned, Audrey, a while ago, and it was for is it coming up there? Let's have a look. No, not that one.
Gigantamo.
This one you said, it's been color graded, Tony, and I'd kind of never even thought seed companies would actually, this is that kind of Barry's Crazy Cherry. They would never kind of color grade a tomato. Now I'm just using one kind of company here. Wait if I can see this is the Ultimate. Do you know what I mean? And
well, mine look like that.
Well, see,
when I grow
right. Well, that's what I was kind of wanting to ask you. Is this just because we're in a different? Because I've never had a Brad's Atomic look like that. Never.
Well, you're not growing them outside. Mine are in direct sun.
Right.
I think there's a difference there, for
Right.
sure. I don't recall seeing that.
Mine are much darker than that.
Stuff, but...
What was that, Steve?
I'm saying mine are much darker than that.
I was just kind of like curious because I was like thinking, are they almost leading us kind of down like a path we can never get or achieve?
No, I think maybe there was a picture that we were talking about, and it did look like it was photoshopped.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'd said, but I don't think because you're showing a lot of Baker Creek stuff.
Well if you have a look at this,
everything I've grown from them looks exactly like
we'll just
they
put
say
that,
it should look.
If I know that's kind of, but that to me, because I'm just going off like her hands and the kind of, it does look like it's been tweaked. Do you know what I mean? You can kind of tell it's been tweaked a little bit. I'm not saying the actual physical tomatoes look okay, but it looks like it's been tweaked. And I was just thinking, do companies maybe enhance their vegetables? Just because I know, remember there was time I tried to look for one on eBay when they say red cucumber. Have you ever seen them red cucumbers? Yes. And they're like screaming bright red. That's the kind of the far extreme, you know what I mean? So
and they're not.
They're certainly they're like a dirty yellow, to be honest. So
right. Well, I look at it like even us in our videos. Sometimes we do a little color correction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if that's a legitimate photo by a professional, I could see, there might be a little color correction done.
Audrey, there's a beauty filter on that.
Several.
But I'm not. I don't think a reputable company is going too far from the
right. Well, that's nice because you noticed straight away that's the one company I was thinking. Oh, because I've looked on you. That's what I was saying to you before the show. It seems like this is the way I was going. UK ones, I couldn't really find anything that was over the toply produced. Do you know what I mean? I was just this one. Is that what they look like?
Yes, I grew one and it looks just like that.
Right. So that's kind of what you'll get from the
They're gorgeous.
And what's that called, Audrey?
Gigantamo.
Orange accordion.
How was it? I thought it was Gigantamo.
Right.
Yeah, that's orange accordion.
Tony Grown Locals just posted in the chat there. Seed marketing in the UK has rules regarding this. So.
Right. Well, there you go. Not on eBay. Did anyone see any of them red cucumbers on?
The Chinese stuff is terrible.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's funny enough, I couldn't find one because I've bought some of them red cucumber things before and grown them, and they're certainly not red. Do you know what I mean? It's like a dirty brown, yellow color.
Brown. Yeah, they're brown and yucky.
Yes, but I couldn't actually see any. I couldn't find any on the thing. So
Well, I bought some seeds years ago from China. I can't remember what they were, but I opened a packet and there were things crawling out of it, insects. So I had to quickly close it up and go outside and burn it. Lord only knows what they were, but That came from China.
Right.
I think eBay is just the Wild West when it
Oh
comes
yes,
to seeds.
Yes.
this is great. Yes,
Anything
it's
No
well.
rules.
I'm sure. Did I buy some Brad's Atomic Grape from me, and it didn't come. You know what I mean? There was some of them were like a. You know how you've got that kind of black richness, and then they do turn a little bit, but they were just like almost like a red color. You know what I mean? Like a cousin a strain of a cousin to the Brad's Atomic. You know, so.
See, the other thing is as well that a lot of people don't know that if for instance, you've got an F1 seed, people don't know that if you save the seed from that, it's now an F2, and it's not really
Yeah.
Yes.
all going to come true. But they'll still sell the seeds. Oh, I got it from a Brad's Atomic Grape, so it must be a Brad's Atomic Grape. I'll sell it.
Well, that's
And,
isn't that one of the kind of the main ones for the tomatoes? You know, the Sun Gold. That's everyone kind of wants to keep them seeds, and I don't think you get that many in a packet when you buy them. But you've
No.
always got to buy a packet of Sun Gold seeds. You can't keep them little belters. So
Are
anyway,
you going to try any? Sorry to interrupt. Are you going to try any of the overwintering the side shoots, Tony, that everyone's kind of raving about?
on what? On
From your tomatoes.
All right.
So instead of if you've got an F1 variety that you don't want to rebuy the seeds for,
Right.
this was a Charles Dowding one. Because he's got a variety that he's been doing it for like 7 years. So around this time of year, he'll just let a side shoot grow on, give it its own little pot, and then overwinter that, and then grow that into a full-size tomato in spring.
Wow. All right. No.
And that might be worth a go.
Well, I did try, JB, last year. I tried the chilies.
Yeah.
I tried 2 or 3 chilies, and none of them kind of survived. And they looked like they did up until like the final kind of month, and then I just lost them. You know what I mean? So
overwintering chilies is quite difficult. I don't have much success either.
No, a friend of mine down south does it. He does it every year, but he pots his up and puts it right on the middle of the dining room table, and grows it as a house plant through the winter.
Right.
And they do that every year, and I guess they must just have the right climatic conditions in that dining room.
Well, I had ours in the bedroom, and we kind of have our bedroom window open. And I think obviously some nights got a little bit frosty cold, and maybe kind of because they're a fickle thing in the cold, mind you, chili plants, to be honest, there, JB. So, but if anyone's interested to know, it was a common F1. So we're talking about F1 there. So you've got to get the seeds from your cucumbers have been out of this world this year. There's another one there. You know what I mean? I'm not going to kind of show it now again, but there's another one that's kind of coming. I've been happy as anything with them. I think last year, I forget what they were called, but they were just like little spiky things, and I grew them all right, but I wasn't happy with the kind of the veg and anything like that. So
do you know you can sort of cut them in half while they're on the plant itself? Cut half of it off, take half home and eat it. The other half will carry on growing, and where you've cut it will callus over, so it's fresh when you want it next time. So you don't have to take the whole cucumber home.
Is that
a joke?
Straight up true. Somebody will confirm it in the chat there. I know they will.
I have never heard that before.
I've never heard that either.
I'm frightened to trust them because it's like Audrey she'll lead you down a path and then just wow, you're hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, flipping heck! After all the good stuff I've told you.
So you could leave
seriously, you cut it, just cut it, a nice clean cut, and what's left on the plants will callus over. And you can take the half home you've cut off, eat it, come back a couple of days later, take the other half. Straight up.
Well, there's something I never knew. I'd be
laughing by now if I was messing you around. You know, I wouldn't be able to hold it back.
Well, you did tell me about the cabbage walking sticks, and I didn't believe that, to be honest. So I'm kind of thinking maybe
that was true as well.
I know. It's almost like, would I lie to you? It's like Bob Mortar on, would I lie to you? You know what I mean?
Well, why wouldn't you just cut the whole thing and put the other half in the refrigerator?
Maybe you've grown the wrong variety, or you only want half a cucumber. Maybe there's only 2 of you, and you've grown
It's the point that you can do that. I didn't even know I thought it would just go mouldy. So I'm thinking mouldy and rotten and start to kind of fester.
I mean, I'll be honest, I've never actually tried it myself, but I have seen it, and I'm fairly certain I've seen it on a TV program.
Folklore. Okay, folklore.
You heard it down the pub.
All right.
Oh, I don't think JB's quite there, Steve. I don't think he's quite there.
There's one thing I've never been talking about down the pub, and that's about growing cucumbers. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Right, well, Fiona Kane is asking, and Fiona, all I can say is yes. Are Brad's atomic prone to splitting, or is it my watering? Well, to be honest, this year, Fiona, a lot of mine have split, but have split actually at home. I brought them home, and they've split in the fridge. Would you believe? And I'm not too bothered because I'm going to keep all the ones that have split for seed, but they have split, and I'm thinking, yeah. But I'm kind of almost, like I said, it doesn't bother us that, but it's them black strawberries, Audrey, that are just like the tomato of this, in the Smith household. They're the ones that are, and especially
moving into first place.
Yeah, especially when you can get like a nice big one, Audrey. Have you get anything? That's a winner. That's a winner there.
Yes.
So, are you growing any of them, Steve? The black strawberry ones.
Yeah, I've got some on, and I was actually in that back tunnel today, taking off the foliage as you do, up the stem. And I've actually got more tomatoes than I kind of led on to believe. When I was all sorts of doom and gloom a week ago, I've actually got tomatoes on, and I can see trusses developing. So it was only at that very early stage that I'm missing a couple of trusses. But yeah, the black strawberries and the blue chocolate and the Brads, they're all coming on quite well now.
And you've got tomatoes on, and you'll probably be able to get them over the finishing line as well.
Yes, there's a black strawberry there that I could eat tomorrow.
Right. Well, there we go.
Yeah, those are wonderful.
And we'll just ask JB. Any tomatoes, JB?
I tell you what, right? I've got this weird thing where so I've had a lot of caterpillar damage, but on the big, I think it's a monster rat. So like I've got one big beefsteak, and they're all just ugly as sin. You remember that first one?
Yes,
I said
I love it. You picked it off because you didn't like it. It was just it was an ugly tomato, and it's not on my.
They're all a bit like that, not just in terms of like their shape, like that's fine, but they've all got like kind of grey blemishes in their skin. They all just look like they've been through the wars a bit. And is that normal for like a big beefsteak tomato? Is it normal for them to get?
Well, I know they kind of do look sometimes kind of like almost, how I showed you this last one there. It was a lovely kind of, some of mine do go like deformed and a bit twisted. And I've never thought about it, JB, to be honest. I've just like chopped them up and made a sauce with them. I don't know. Yeah. Audrey, I know exactly what he's on about. Do you know what JB's on about? Where they just look and they've got like scars on them, and it's like they've got like deep dark crevices in, and they're just like they're not a pretty tomato.
I think that's more from heirloom varieties. Yeah. I think some of the more F1s are a little more. They're not prone to that. Because I'm growing one right now, and it's oh my gosh, I'll think of the name. But it's an heirloom, and it splits like around the neck a lot. So the shoulders, I should say, of the tomato. It's almost like a circle around the top. Yeah, and my tomatoes are watered very, very consistently. And this is one that's part of the dwarf tomato thing. So it's like everybody's making a dwarf version of some of the larger versions. It's next to my purple heartthrob. So it's purple. Oh, it's purple rain, I think.
Oh, nice.
And but it's splitting at the shoulders, so it's almost like you got to cut the shoulders off a bit. But they're absolutely delicious tomatoes.
So I wouldn't, like I say, JB, though, if you do come across them again, just still don't throw them away. Just still keep them and just, like you say, cut the, cut the bad ones out.
If they have like the cat face on the bottom, which a lot of heirlooms do, you just take that off.
Interesting.
What were you pointing to there, Stephen?
Somebody just asking, says, is Steve putting that lino in his greenhouse? So I was just going, ooh. It's that you're mentioning. I've got a new roll of lino to go down in this room when I refit it.
That's your game room, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're more interested in the bloody lino than they are me. And it's tucked away in a corner. Flipping heck.
Right, let's
Thanks,
see
Jerry.
what else we got. What little topic? When are you ordering, JB? I'll jump to you first there, sir. When are you ordering next year's seeds? Have you started already? Because I know Steve mentioned he'd ordered these flower seeds. When are you going to start thinking about next year's seeds?
That's a good question. I'm pretty opportunistic when it comes to seeds. So whenever they're in sales, I tend to pick up a lot. And I'm kind of impromptu. You know, I often don't do a big seed bulk order. And I don't know if there's really any left for me to do. Like, I'm not kind of evangelical about always using fresh seeds. I know there's some plants where it's quite important that you do that. But none that I think I'm planning on growing next year. And quite often, if I do remember there's something that I've forgotten, I'll just go and pick it up and sow it the same day. Not very planned, you know, not very planned. But my seed box is currently like overflowing. We went to Wilco just last Friday, and there was seed packets for like 5p. You know, so it's just like,
ridiculous,
just shove them in, you know, like just scooping them off the shelf. You know, and I've picked up loads kind of towards the end of summer sales online as well. So yeah, I think I'm kind of okay for seeds at the moment.
Well, funny enough, I expected you to be a bit kind of, you know, like haphazardy, kind of just like a little bit like me. Yeah. But I'm expecting Audrey's methodical with her seed. You know what I mean, with ordering and. I bet there's an Excel sheet.
I'm a self-admitted seedaholic. So, yeah, I have seed orders coming in probably weekly.
Right. But even now.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll, you know, because I also set up like wish lists on things that I want to try. Mm-hmm. And if I find that they're available, snag them right then.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So it's not like something like a little Sunday afternoon or cozy. Let's think about the seeds. It's just
I do that. I do that when the rare seed catalog comes out once a year. You know, that big thing that's like 500 pages long. Yes, absolutely. Sipping a bourbon while I'm doing that is like the best day of my life. And I will order new ones because they'll come out with new stuff. But yeah, no, I'm all about, if it's available, I'm grabbing it.
So Audrey, just out of curiosity, then, just let's see how obsessed you are. So if the catalog, like Baker Creek catalog, drops every year, and it is a lovely catalog. Can you? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they actually say the word "new" on a seed, but can you see vegetables that are not normally there, and that's a new variety, and I'll just snag that?
Or, absolutely, right. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Is that your little Bible?
I won't even tell you when JB's talking about his seed box. I want to go, oh, that's so cute.
Seed room.
I have 4 of those plastic things that you have, Tony.
Yes.
I have 4 of those. And then I have one thing for beans alone. It's like a big box that's just for beans, and one for peas.
Well, I've totally, because I did get 2, Audrey, but I've totally kind of outgrown. And my main one has been left in the polytunnel in the sun, and it's just every time I pick it up now.
You know, I saw that in one of your videos, and I thought, oh, you can't leave your seeds.
No, it's all gone. It's all gone. So
yeah.
I need beans. I need a totally different thinking.
Because they're so big.
Yes, beans.
Mine's it's like a CD holder, and it's just full of beans.
Because even salad now, since I started, you know, with the obsession with Steve telling us to kind of grow more salad. Salad's just like I'm having to move it out of the box into a Tupperware. Into like a Tupperware box. You know what I mean? JB, how do you store? Sorry, Audrey. JB, how do you store your seeds in?
It's just a little. I mean, it is quite a small box. It's like a little wooden box, little nice hinge. It's got like a nice watering can.
Has it got the word seeds? Has it got the word seeds written?
But what I do is
Waitrose on the bottom.
I just get a bit of A4 and create little dividers that have got like stuff scrawled on them. So like brassicas, salads, whatever. So there's some loose organization in there. So at least I can find what I need. But it works quite well. Just create like a little wallet out of a bit of A4 that you fold 4 times. And yeah, it works okay for me. You know, it's all right. Also, I got a lot of tiny little seed packets, you know, from like Premier Seeds or whatever. And you know, you buy those as like 500 seeds in a pack. They don't take up that much space. So it's quite dense in there.
Well, they will take up when Steve's, because Steve, the amount of seeds you sow, the amount you must buy is on a par with Audrey. So how do you keep all yours in?
In the same as you, Tony, in those plastic boxes. I've got 4 of those boxes, and currently I've got another, I don't know, tub down at the allotments, and there's probably 20 packets of seeds in that. There's a seed tray on the floor in the kitchen full of seeds. I've got seeds all around me here. I mean, as I pointed out last week, I've got these seeds here. These are flower seeds, and I've got sweet pea seeds down there. I don't own a jacket that hasn't got a packet of seeds. In it
yeah.
There isn't a jacket in the house without a packet of seeds in.
Well, mine's
and
even
sometimes the seeds actually stay in the packet. Otherwise, they become pocket seeds, and they're wonderful because you could just sow them anywhere. Find out what they are later.
It's funny,
Special
Steve.
variety pocket seeds.
My seeds now are overflowing to the 2, you know, the drinks dispensers in your car. Now they're getting full of seeds. Do you know what I'm thinking?
Yeah, same in our van. Yeah, same in our van, and in the dashboard, and in the glove box, everywhere. In fact, I opened the side door of the van, and the seeds there now. Yeah, I think there's even some in a pair of wellies in there. For heaven's sake, everywhere there are seeds.
Right now, I think we might have had this by Joanne already. But anybody know any tips for stopping cats in your beds? Does that ring a bell?
I recently heard a good one.
Right.
And it's put plastic forks, you know, those for parties or whatever, the plastic forks, and just stick them in and let the tines stick up. And apparently, if you put them enough, that's going to irritate the cat, and they're not going to go in there.
Right.
You know, they're wanting to poo, so they need a little bit of room. So if you just stick those in, I don't have problems with cats, more squirrels, and I think
you were saying last week we were having a chat.
Yeah, I think they wouldn't care if there was a fork; they'd probably just pull it out. But I think that works for kitties.
Did anybody watch that video about the squirrel, the lad that built the kind of squirrel?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Oh, just what an uplifting, you know what I mean? Kind of. Just a brilliant
I couldn't believe
video.
the lengths that guy went to develop something, and then once he'd seen the squirrel go past it, to redevelop it and try and stop it doing it.
Well, he's an ex-NASA engineer. Do you know what I mean? He built part of the Mars rover. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of and he's great like for building stuff, like for getting kids interested. So most of all these videos are kind of brilliant. I just love Mark Rober. But that one is just because I think he's done it twice now. There's like 2 or 3 maybe videos.
It was the second one I watched, the Ninja 2 one I watched.
Right. Well, the first one really just good. Like excellent.
So how does it end? Does the squirrel end up in a bucket of water that it can't get out of?
On the barbecue.
It ends up with the nuts. It gets the prize. They'll get the prize.
You know, that's a man with a kind heart.
Yeah.
Right. That's just.
I was going to say.
Sorry,
well,
Jimmy.
The thing that's always worked for me with cats is rose or bramble trimmings. So exactly the same thing as plastic forks, but biodegradable, basically. Rose stalks are like perfect. You know, if you've got an actual rose bush that you trim down, they hate it. It's been foolproof in my raised bed in the back garden. I could just kind of stick them in the soil at like odd angles, create a real obstacle course for the cats, and they can't be bothered with it.
Marty has got a good question here. She says, salad question. I've sown from a packet of mixed salad leaf seeds 4 times. This time, only one variety of fondy type leaves have come up. What do you think has happened? It's been hot, but well watered. So, Steve, what do you think next? So she's sown like a mixed bag of seeds. She's sown it 4 times. On the 4th time, there's only one variety of the lettuce
It sounds to me like it might be in direct sunlight. Try and keep it out of direct sunlight. Still somewhere warm, but keep it out of direct sunlight. The fact that one of the lettuce seeds is germinating and growing. Normally, when they put these mixes together, they're all of the same age seeds. Normally, but otherwise, then it could be a bad mix. But don't ever throw a tray out. Just leave it. Keep watering it. Leave it on the side and see what happens. Sometimes seeds can take some time to germinate. I've got exactly the same thing in my polytunnel now with all my lettuce seeds. And I know most of those seeds are good, but it's like 12, 13 days now and they're not germinated. Normally it's like a week. In fact, you and me, Tony, we've both sown the mushroom trays of mixed leaves, haven't we? Mine are up now and they're about 1.5 inches tall, and some of my other lettuce hasn't germinated yet. So, it's and I know some of that seed's good.
Funny enough, Stephen, I was having a little bit of problem with the last batch. I've sown like the salads, and I've got them down. I brought them down, and probably the day after I brought them down, we've had kind of coolish weather. So and nothing was happening for a while. I mean, the brassicas were all away, but the salad and the mustards haven't been that good. So I switched on in the hut. And actually, I might have left it on. No, I think I've knocked it off. I switched on the heat mat.
Yeah.
Within a day, they were up.
Yeah.
So it's obviously been a little bit too cold for them. Do you know what I mean? Which I didn't think. You know what I mean? But you say like the warm soil. So I was struggling to get. And I was thinking, bloody hell, salad again. But now
it's 12 days ago it was really quite warm, but now the temperatures have dropped. Quite significantly as well, so that will throw a spanner in the works. I was actually thinking this afternoon maybe I'll do some of the really small quarter trays. I'll sow some of them, put them on my windowsill here at home, and that will give me a germination.
Well, it within a day, within a night, like I woke up the next day, went there, and they were up. So I've got them all there now, and it's down to me now to kind of repot them on whether I can kind of get that kind of done or not. You know what I mean? Now I've sent out. Actually, I haven't heard anything back from them, but because I wanted to do an interview with them. But I just want to grab your thoughts. You know how we're doing allotments and that, and there's a company. There's probably a couple of companies. There's one called Roots Allotments down Bristol, down Bathway, where it's a private company that's set up, and you can kind of go, and if you go online, Roots Allotment, have I got it? I don't think I've actually got it set up on the thing. You can just rent, instead of waiting like 6 to 10 years for an allotment or whatever, you can rent an allotment, and sure enough, they're a little bit more money. Do you know what I mean? So in some cases, I think, Steve, probably allotment, probably the size of yours, might be about 200 odd pounds, right. I think. A year, so or is that? Oh, no, £50 a month. I think maybe 56. I don't know if you're on there, JB. If you can have a look. I wonder if
that's big money.
Oh, I know, but I'm thinking, you know what I mean? Me personally, even just this software to run this show is nearly £50 a month. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of. I'm thinking, if you love a hobby that much and you kind of get it. I mean, there certainly is cheaper ones. They've got like little plots, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll just see if I can kind of push over. Well, Steve, what's your thoughts about that? Would you be willing to kind of pay a private company?
It depends how stuck I was for a growing space, to be honest. If I really wanted a growing space, then I guess I would, because, let's look at it another way. You could spend 50 quid going and watching football for a couple of hours on a Saturday afternoon. So it's what you get out of it. But something else interesting on from that, which I've seen before, was
I still can't get that bloody tomato off.
It's haunted.
I remember seeing a few years ago you could rent an allotment space, and this company would plant it up for you. You tell them what you wanted to grow.
Right.
They would grow it in that space, and then when it was harvested, they would send it to you. You didn't even actually have to visit your allotment.
Right,
so
right.
Your bit of land, you told them what to grow. When it was harvested, they sent it.
Right. Well, I wouldn't be keen on that. But they've got, actually, they're starting, if anyone wants to kind of go over, they start micro plots from 9 £9.99 a month. Then they've got
They're
like
tiny.
starter ones, which is like £20 a month, all the way up to
Yeah,
kind of,
so-
you know, 108 square meters. Is that roughly yours, Steve? 100 square
No.
meters?
No, I'm
Steve's is
over
much bigger.
600.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got about 100 odd, and so my plot would be £550 a year, which is a lot of money. At the moment, I pay like £30 a year. So they are some.
But
very high prices.
that's a good reckoning, Jimmy. You're quite lucky. You pay £30 a year. That's just, I've never heard of that. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, no one must be making any money. It's just going for, you know, I pay like, I think it's probably about 106, something like that a year.
Wow.
So I don't know. I would certainly. I mean, they've nearly sold all the plots, so there's a demand there for it. Especially if you, like you say, you're waiting 10 years for a plot.
It depends what they're offering with it, really. I mean, you know, is it running water on every plot and they've put a shed on for you?
Community tools, workshops and talks, a free personal trial.
Personal trial.
And online courses.
Ready to plant beds, regular seed packs, free personal trowel, community tools, running water. And I know, I think Charlie Dowden was there for the opening day as well, and he supports them. But I've never heard of this, really? Like kind of like a companies that do this, but I think there's probably a couple around the England, which is great little business model. I think, you know what I mean. If like you can get people that are kind of waiting years and years and just Audrey, what would you pay? What's the most you would pay for a plot of land to have like what we call over here an allotment? If you didn't have your garden, how much would you be willing to pay? A month.
I would probably go 25, 35-ish a month.
A month, right?
Yeah.
I'd probably go a little bit more, to be honest. I would.
But if it's monthly, I don't know. Like if you're paying $100 essentially for the year, I'd maybe go $300-400 for the year.
Well, when you think though, Audrey, this is our hobby. This is it. Right, this is you know what I mean? So
it's not about cheap, because hobbies are not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all just agree on that. They're just not. I'd have
to think one, mate. Yeah, it's
a model. That's a model I'm just not even used to thinking about.
Steve, what about you then? Because you know what I mean. I know I'm not being kind of flippant here, but you'd kind of spend 50 quid on compost, you know, quite easily. But how much would you be willing to spend a month for an allotment?
Oh gosh, well, probably 50 quid a month, to be honest. Quite happily, and then I would probably bulk at it a little bit. The thing that's in danger there is if people are buying it because they've got no other choice, and would that cause resentment in the community? You know, after a couple of months, when people realise, God, we've got to pay this every month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Joey over there's got that a little bit cheaper. Well, he's only got a small bit of ground, but you know, he's cheaper. Maybe I'll get a smaller one. There'll be all that sort of. I don't know if it's that good a model and how much resentment it might cause.
Well, you've hit a good point there though as well. Is you don't mind paying the £50 a month when the season's here, but when there's no season and it's just winter months, you know, for at least 3 months, you're paying like 150 quid just for the winter.
And what happens if your trowel breaks? Do you get a new one? You know? Oh, you've got to think of these things, you know? You're paying 50 quid a month. And what if I don't like the seeds in the seed pack? And
I'd buy a plot.
Yeah.
I would think it'd be more practical to buy a plot.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is, Audrey, in this village, we have got like private allotments. And I think that if you're willing to pay, I think they go for around about maybe 3,000 to 5,000 to buy it. So it's yours. It's like a private land.
Right.
And like you say, if you maybe that's the route, you know, because I've had mine, paid mine for 25 years. You know what I mean? So it's at least 20 years. I
I
should.
think if that became the model here, I would just buy a plot because then I can sell it when that's not what I'm doing anymore.
JB, I know you're kind of careful with your money. You know what I mean? You young students that have just come out of university and. You know, you could get a tin of paint for that. You know what I mean? So you got to pay it. Yeah.
My main concern with it is this kind of becoming the new normal, and it kind of removing the current kind of just the idea and the concept behind allotments is that they're not really a profit making venture. You know, they're put aside as a public good, and they are there for the benefit of, you know.
Local
it doesn't
residents.
matter if you've not got bags of money, you can do allotmenting on the cheap, you know, and I try to kind of stay in the spirit of that as best I can, because I think that's kind of one of the things about allotments, really. But yeah, it makes me a bit uneasy seeing this kind of thing where a lot of people would be priced out of this, and it makes me worry about kind of the future of allotment provision. You know, if these started popping up everywhere, what's it going to mean for the price of your council allotment, and that kind of thing?
I get that, JB, but just, you know, like the kind of for the devil's advocate kind of thing. Would you wait 10 years? Would you wait 16? You know, the people over the wall from me have waited 16 years. Their kids are up and away. You know what I mean? It's that's the thing. Yeah. And if, you know, finances are a little bit kind of different for everybody, you know what I mean? But it's a model, I kind of think, you know what I mean? It could work, but like what Steve said there, there's certain months so I would be really begrudging paying like £50 through the window. That would just kind of knock me. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just, you sometimes don't go up.
I think I would still have my name down on a council waiting list while I was paying that.
Yes,
I think I'd still definitely do that. Probably everybody else would as well.
So, I don't think it's a bad use of land, you know, and you can't outlaw people doing this kind of stuff. It's nicer than it going for housing or something like that, and hopefully it would still have, you know.
I mean, it looks like if you look on the thing, you know what I mean. It looks like they've got a nice big teepee in it. It looks like a nice community. You've got running water. You know what I mean? So I think it's going in the right direction. It's just, are you prepared to pay them? You know what I mean? Business. You know what I mean? It's our economy there. You know, people's got to make some money. But JB, you still haven't answered the question. How much are you willing to pay?
It's a good question. It's a very good question, and I don't know. It's kind of like a, you know, frog in hot water thing. You're like, once you're invested and it's your allotment already, and you get a letter saying they're doubling the rent, that's very different from, you know, being someone who doesn't have an allotment, who has to make a choice about whether or not they're going to start spending £100 a year or £200 a year. I think I go up to £100 a year for mine, but I wouldn't be too happy about it. That's probably about the limit for me, 100, because mine's half a plot as well, so it's relatively small.
Right,
but yeah,
don't need a part. You'll be out there drinking your wine. Let us see what the time is. Actually, it's just kind of flown. Oh my God, we're over the hour already. And we never answered. I tell you what, we'll answer a couple of questions there. Right?
Yes and no.
Well, actually, there you go then. David Bruff's asking, are there any carrots that can sow now? Stephen, Carrot Man.
Oh, God, yes, definitely. Chardonnay is good. That's a nice sort of tiny-ish carrot, although they can get quite decent size. I like them because you can just put them in whole into a casserole or a soup or something. They're fantastic. The other variety that's good over winter is Eskimo. That's a really, really good variety.
Are you planting these in your polytunnel, Steve? Are you planting them outside as well this time?
Planting them, they're planted, they're sown and growing.
But is it too late to sow it now?
No, not at all. You can still sow them in December. They've still got to grow. They still need whatever they need to grow. So if you plant them in December, it's just going to take a lot longer.
But surely they wouldn't germinate in December.
If your polytunnel's warm enough, we've got a warm spell, they will. Yeah. It's all down to soil
Good
temperatures, really.
conditions, right? So there you go,
Yeah.
David. There we go.
Yeah, get them sown, get after it.
Get it, yes, sow it all the time. Right, Urban White Buffalo is asking, has anyone tried to graft one tomato variety stem onto another variety stem? Audrey, is that something you might have dabbled with, or is that nothing?
I have done that in the past. Yes.
What's it like? Is it easy to do? Is it successful, or
It's remarkably easy to do.
right?
And
Right.
there's, there's two ways to do it, where you cut both at an angle, or you cut like a V in one of them and you cut a point in the other and you put it in and you wrap the grafting clip
Wedge
around
cut.
it. I mean, it's very simple.
Mm-hmm. So I
Yeah.
guess you must have done some research then to find out what was a decent rootstock and what.
I actually did not. I put one tomato on another tomato that was very vigorous. And so I assumed the rootstock was more vigorous.
Right.
And it did I'm actually thinking about doing that with Brad's Atomic Grape next year. Because you know how they come up and they are just so spindly?
Sickly looking things, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think, what if I put that on a really good rootstock? I wonder what would happen. So I was thinking about that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's not as hard as it might sound.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And Steve, will anything happen, if you're kind of blending F1s and rootstocks? Does that cause a problem or not?
Not really. Your variety above the rootstock is the variety that will grow. And it's the vigor and the strength of the rootstock that will make your scion grow, because that's your scion up above. All you've got to be careful of, really, as Audrey says there, it's quite easy. It's the cambium layer on the outside. As long as they match up between the two, they'll take pretty easily, pretty rapidly.
It was the what? Steve, what did you say there? It was the what layer?
Cambium layer, the outer layer, the layer like on a tree, as you remember from school, where they say, if you just break open the bark and just chip a little bit of that layer away, that can break the cycle up and down the plant that sends the signals and all that stuff. So as long as those match on from your scion to your rootstock, then your plants will get away fine.
Mm-hmm. Right,
well, it's the same with all grafting. If you're grafting apples onto apples, or
well, I know
cannabis onto wheat, whatever you're doing,
Mm-hmm. Well, I've kind of bought. You know what I mean? I don't know. JB's. I guess you can do. It's a big thing with chili plants grafting. Is that something that have you bought chili plants, grafted chili plants, or have you dabbled with it?
No, the only place I've ever seen grafted chili plants is on your videos, Tony.
Right.
And I know you've done a few with tomatoes, but I had a kind of the stupid question is, what rootstocks do you use for tomatoes? Like, what rootstocks are they grafted onto? Are there tomato varieties?
They are some
cabbage,
different,
man, for God's.
They're all different varieties. I mean, I haven't done that for 20 years now, but I remember because it was the name of a favourite song of mine at the time. But it was Arnold rootstock. That was the one I used for tomatoes. There's probably hundreds available, but that was the one I always used. It was really nice and vigorous.
Yeah, interesting. Mm-hmm. And would a tomato rootstock dictate the growth form in the same way that an apple rootstock would?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, all the vigor and the strength comes from the rootstock. So you're looking to get the vigor from the rootstock and the qualities of the scion to get your plants.
Yes.
Steve, while you're there, Ian from Grown Locals asking, Steve, do you plant your shallots on Boxing Day too? Because I was going to ask you this, Steve.
No.
But why couldn't you? Could you not do like a succession planting and get like a harvest?
I suppose you could do, but I'm always looking to bulb up all my shallots and onions and garlic pretty much at the same time. I don't know why I don't do it earlier, to be honest. And I know with leeks, I know why I don't do leeks on Boxing Day. It's because they're just too early. And even now, my leeks that I sowed in January were too early this year because now they're running to seed, as you know yourself, Tony. But I mean, leeks, really, you can plant all the way into March. I've just always done them early in January.
I think that was everyone. That was Steve telling everyone he's got a new mic stand there. You see?
I just knocked it. Bloody thing.
Well, I think we're kind of coming to the end there. Let's have a look. We were 101 hour 9 minutes. We will get into the tips of the week. Audrey, what is your tip of the week, girl?
I'm going to say, because we talked about this last week even, that people are getting a little weary right now because of the heat, because of it's August. We've been at this a while. So I'm going to say, take a fresh look at your garden and think about how you can enjoy it between now and the end of the season. Whether that means you're planting new things, whether you're harvesting, whatever. Remember that the point of gardening is enjoyment, and it's also like a soul life-giving thing. So don't miss that as we're trying to keep weeds out and keep it looking pretty. Like, just enjoy it. And if that means you just sit like JB in his meadow at his plot, then just do that. Because, there's also soul value in gardening. So don't miss that.
You're exactly right, Audrey. And it's funny enough, it's the glut harvest that's not my favourite time. Do you know what I mean? You work your little Charlie Holics off to get there, but when that comes, do you know what I mean?
You're
it's
what?
like
You're Charlie what?
Holics.
He
Wow.
means his tush.
I love some of the terms that you guys use. They're just delightful. Charlie Holics. Okay, I'm going to use that in a sentence.
Yeah. So meaning you kind of, it's all this preparation, and then I'm finding now, and it's like every year it does get this. I don't say it gets down, but it's like you go up and you want to do something, and I've got to, because the tomatoes will split. I don't want to harvest them. You can spend a good 30 to 40 minutes just on harvest, just to get your veg in, and then you've got to water your tomatoes, and then it's almost like an hour before you've even, let's just play with some gardening,
That's why I always take my flask with me, so that I always make sure I sit down and have a coffee. I sit down for 5, maybe 10 minutes at a time, at least three times every morning, at least.
Because you're always on your phone chatting to us.
Exactly, yeah. No, you're always bloody bugging me.
Steve, how'd you do this?
No, Steve. JB, is your tips of the week?
Okay, so mine. This isn't a novel one, right? But brassicas. Okay, it's not the end of the season for the cabbage white, especially down south. And the tip is to check once, check twice, and then check a third time for eggs, caterpillars, all the pests on the brassicas, because it is amazing what you can miss. Right, I spent probably 45 minutes in my little brassica bed just yesterday. Went over everything, like thought it was with a fine-tooth comb. And then I could still see, I was still finding a few little eggs here and there. I went back through it all again and found just as many as the first time. And you have to be so careful with those eggs, because the cabbage whites will just decimate stuff so quickly. And do that even if it's netted, because even the absolute best netting, you're still likely to get 1 or 2 ninja butterflies that get in there somehow.
No,
so be really on it. The caterpillars are like masters of disguise, aren't they? The ninjas.
Yeah, exactly.
They hide so well. And you've got to be careful when you're looking for them as well, because the slightest knock on a leaf, they'll fall off into the soil. And then when you turn your back, the little buggers are climbing back up again. So
well,
we haven't found
I've had to kind of, I didn't want to, but I've had to kind of go with the BT Bacillus thennogenes yesterday, because my sprouting broccoli's just like twigs. There's no green. I'm thinking, you know what I mean? And it's just like butterfly got into the polytunnel, laid probably one batch. I've cleaned JB. I've cleaned. I've picked, like you say. I've even sunk them in my barrel of water to try and drown the little buggers. You know what I mean? And then kind of when they're still getting there, so I thought, right. And I know BT works. You know what I mean? So I've kind of. And I've got some cauliflowers coming there now, and some broccoli. So I'm hoping, like calabrese. So I'm hoping a good dose of the BT. JB, do you not use the neem oil no more? Because I know you kind of did a few tests and trials with it.
Yeah, no, I do. I tend to use it earlier in the season, and it's a little bit. If you're spraying, certainly towards harvest time, it's not good because that stuff does not taste nice. It's probably safe to consume, but it's just really bitter. So as we get later in the season, I stop using it. And generally, normally at this time of year, stuff like aphid and whitefly populations are kind of a bit more under control from natural predators. But it's really low in kind of ladybird numbers and stuff like that on my plot at the moment. So I've been going in and physically removing the aphids where I can. My brassica.
Those aphids look terrible on that little dwarf cabbage you've got.
Yeah,
all your
exactly.
ladybirds have went to your meadow. That's what they're all having a party in Benidorm.
There you go.
The other one to watch out for is hoverfly larvae, because they look a little bit like caterpillars, but they're a positive to have. They'll go through and they eat even more than the ladybird aphids. The ladybird larvae, hoverfly larvae are really, really voracious eaters. So yeah, look out for those as well. They're good friends to have in the battle against the aphids.
Stephen.
Hello.
Tip of the week, sir.
Oh, right. Right. Cleaning. And it's cleaning your polytunnel plastic and your greenhouse glass. At this time of the year, light levels or light hours are dropping, and the angle of the sun will start to change soon. You want to take best advantage of whatever light's available through the winter months. So get in there, clean your polytunnel plastic on the inside, get rid of all the algae. You don't need to use any cleaners. Just wet it down, come back 5 minutes later with a window brush that you would use, wash all the algae off and then rinse it off. And the same on the inside of your greenhouse as well. Just allows maximum light transmission into grey crops over winter.
So that kind of any time now to start thinking about doing that.
Yeah.
Because we are going to try and kind of get our crops through as much as winter as possible this year as well, Steve. Is that right?
Yeah, we always do.
Yes. Well, I start off well. I can get the odd mustard through to kind of early March and that. So hopefully.
Just give them a chance, and when it's looking a little bit sorry for itself one morning, when it's been a little bit cold, don't rip it out. As you know, you get fed up, don't you? Oh, this ain't growing. Rip.
Well, it's funny. I was looking at another good point you made, Steve, there, because there was, and I forget what it is. It's some salad or chicory or something that I've put in next to the potatoes, and they looked as sorry as anything when I put them in the kind of direct heat but I've just went back yesterday and I thought, bloody hell, they've all took and they're all bushy and they're all kind of, and I'm thinking, it's just like
they just get a little bit confused for a week because they're now in a different environment and they think, oh well, this isn't so bad here. We're getting water, we got soil. Let's pour our roots down and then they start thinking, oh, it's quite nice. This getting all this free food, all this free water and sun.
And not much water, but we'll try.
Always sulk for a week. Oh. Sulky little, they're like teenagers.
Well, listen, I think we've come to the end of another fantastic Potty Mouth Garden Club. Naturally, JB, thank you very much, sir. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Audrey, thank you very much indeed. And Stephen, always a pleasure, never a chore.
Oh, thank you very much.
And a big thank you to everyone who's watching live and who, like I say, don't forget our Discord there. And if you want to listen to a podcast, just searching on Apple Podcasts or any podcast, if you're a kind of a Windows user. Whoever, I don't know who uses Windows, to be honest. You might find some sort of Android podcast there, but we are there. Everyone, thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure and an honour to have you on board. We will see you next week, next Monday at 7 p.m. Look after yourselves. Take good care.
Thank you, Tony. Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
It's all right.